Welcome to Beauty Business Matters. I'm Susan Routledge, your host, and this is a slightly different episode because I am going to get interviewed by Ryan.
Hi, everyone. So thank you, Susan, for having me on. This is very strange. I'm usually sat behind the cameras, but sometimes I think it's best to try and draw as much as we can out of Susan for me to just sit here and ask a few questions. So firstly, we've had a busy day here today in Peterborough. So how have you found all of our recordings today, Susan?
Oh, well, you know, Ryan, I absolutely love doing this. You know, it's the highlight of my month, coming down and doing these episodes. And like all of the guests that we have, I just love it because generally I'm quite nosy. So I like to know sort of in all the guests, although I actually know them, every time I do an interview, I find out so much more about someone. And I think a lot of the guests that we have are quite high in our industry, in the beauty industry. And quite often it's quite easy to put them onto a pedestal of like, you know, they're, you know, like leaders in our industry. And I always think, you know, everyone just started with a dream and one client. And then it's what's happened since then. So, yeah, I just absolutely love it. And as I say, all of the guests that we've had since October, I can't believe it's since October. And I think it's now over 40 episodes that we've done in total. All of the guests have been an absolute dream. And yeah, as I say, it's just something I really, really enjoy. I love it. Absolutely love it.
And ultimately, that is a massive part of it, isn't it? Having the enjoyment in the recordings and what you take away from it. It's helping you grow as an individual, but it's also opening up the industry. Yeah. So just to note upon something you just said there, obviously, a lot of the guests that you've had on so far are so well qualified in their respective fields. So in terms of bringing your audience access to these individuals, you are kind of opening up that level of conversation. Yeah.
I mean, I always think that there is so much knowledge out there in our industry. And what I'd like to think is that I'm bringing some of it to everyone, just even if it's just a fraction. And I always think that there can just be one thing that you hear that you just think, oh my word, I can do that, or my word, you know, that's something that I can aspire to do or be. So even if someone just takes one small thing away, then I'm happy. But I would like to think that they take tons and tons of knowledge away and inspiration. You know, that's what I really, really think, that all of the episodes have been so inspiring. And I mean, the guests that we've had have just been from so many different, I mean, some from within the industry. We've also had experts who are experts in mindset, in sales, in other areas, PR. So, you know, IT now and all sorts of different things. So what I'm trying to do is to bring as well a little bit of knowledge that you might not have had in the past, kind of thing.
Yeah, that's lovely. That's really, really nice. I think for me, part of life is all about building connections. And what's fascinating is you clearly have such strong connections with the individuals that you come in with. Have you sort of built or fostered any further connections since you've started the podcast? Has there been anyone that you've brought in?
Well, not as yet. Everyone that I've had as a guest has been someone that I've planned on having as a guest. But what has happened is that now I'm getting a lot of people contacting me wanting to come onto the podcast. So that has sort of opened up a lot of new relationships. And the thing is, I've got a list of, I started with a list of 52 guests that I wanted to, like my hit list, and now that list's getting longer and longer. So yeah, I mean, and again, I mean, I've been contacted by people not only from the UK but America. I had someone contact me from Australia as well, even though we've had a couple of Australian guests on as well. So the podcast's like the word's spreading all over, so I love that.
So I'm going to pick up on something that you told me privately before we started recording today, which was that you found yourself being recognised from the podcast. Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, what I was a little bit surprised at is that now I get people coming up and mentioning that they watch the podcast, or obviously because with it being on YouTube, they're seeing me as well as like listening. And I think that was really, it hit home when I was at Excel, at Professional Beauty in Excel, because although I do know a lot of people, there was so many people came that I didn't previously know to say how much they enjoyed the podcast and episodes that they were quoting episodes that they'd watched, which I found so well, it's just so endearing to like know that like it is making a difference. So yeah, it was really lovely.
Amazing. So changing track ever so slightly, obviously this world, podcasting, media, being on camera, having to talk, this is all new to you. It's a new experience. So have you noticed any positive changes to yourself, to your own life in the skills that you've learned from this endeavour?
Well, I did actually start doing interviews in lockdown. I didn't intend on doing it, but I was quite fortunate that I was actually in Thailand when we started to go into lockdown. I'd been out there for a couple of weeks. I was out there because I'd gone out on my own because I needed some time I was doing some writing. And we started, I mean, out there, it was very different to here, which I hadn't realised at the time. So everything was quite normal out there, but they were starting to take people out of the country. And obviously I was in communication with some of the members in Beauty Directors Club, but also as well with my team in the clinic. And so I didn't realise how fast things were moving in the UK. So I was out in Thailand, everything fairly normal, apart from taking, as I say, the beaches were getting quieter and quieter, which was lovely. But what I realised was that we were very quickly going into lockdown, and there was such a panic across the UK. I think the biggest realisation I had was when someone in our clinic, because we've got like a really high-end clinic, a client came in and took some toilet rolls, and I was thinking, why would that happen? I was thinking, is it dysentery? So at the time I was just doing videos of lots of toilet rolls and sending them back over to everyone, because obviously there was no shortage in Thailand. But at that time I also realised that I could probably get some information while I was here to get in front of some people who could help. So I was researching people who understood about furlough. I was and started interviewing people who were like prolific in our industry, who seemed to know more knowledge on what was happening and things. So I started doing that just because I could, because I was out of all of the madness that was going on, and then realised that I was getting like really high views. Sometimes I was getting 300-400 people on listening, and I loved it. So when I came back to the UK, I started doing that, and at one point I was doing 2 interviews a week and putting it out across the industry. I loved it, absolutely loved it. But then as lockdown ended and we all went back and went into our businesses and clinics and everything, then I just parked it to one side, and always intended on picking it up again. and then you just get busy with everything else. So going back to your original question, obviously now I absolutely love it, and I do feel that like it is something that I just enjoy so much. So I have seen a change in me where I feel a lot more confident in front of a camera now than I ever was. I'm still far better at talking to someone else and drawing out and bigging them up than I am myself. But yeah, I absolutely love it. Totally love it. This episode is brought to you by our amazing sponsor, Forest Salon Software. I'm especially delighted about this partnership because I've known the CEO of Forest, Ronan Percival, for over 12 years, and he was also the first guest on this podcast. The Forest story began with a genuine love for the salon industry, and their passion for helping businesses thrive is what makes them such a great synergy and such a great fit for this show. They bring so much energy and enthusiasm to helping and supporting salons. And as part of this partnership, they are offering an exclusive deal for our listeners. It's a huge 50% off Forest Salon software for the first 6 months. It's an incredible saving, especially in today's climate, and a great way for your business to stay focused and strong for 2025 and beyond. If you'd like to take advantage of the offer, simply check out the sign-up link in the show notes, and be sure to mention the podcast when you speak to their fantastic team. And thanks to Forest Software, and now back to our incredible episode.
That's fantastic, and just something that I picked up in that in that answer just then, and something that I've noticed within you. You seem to be someone who is very keen on sharing information. Even across that anecdote there where you're talking about COVID, you started these lives because you wanted to share information that you had that you thought could help other people. And that seems to me to be the main message from Beauty Business Matters. Yeah. To me, I always think there's enough work for everyone. And although I think our industry is better, it is still a little bit guarded where I know from years and years ago, I used to do network events. I used to organise network events called Beauty United, where I would, and it all started really because I used to do a lot of work with colleges, and colleges were always desperate to get employers through the door. So they would organise employer days, and it would be where an employer could come in and have a sandwich, a facial with a student, and a look around the college. And really that having a facial with a student when on your day off wasn't, I thought, well, that's not going to be as appealing as organising something a little more specific. So I used to organise these events called Beauty United, and what we'd do is we'd have where employers would come in, all the local salon owners would come. We would organise some seminars, so there was some education. At the same time, could have a look around, and then we would have the hospitality who would do put some nibbles on and things. So instead of it being just a load of lecturers sitting with a load of sandwiches and a load of students, it really, really worked well where, it was just bringing everyone together. But that, to start with, it was a little bit of an uphill battle because getting local salon owners to work together and to be together was a little bit where they didn't really want to be all together. Once they were together, they were absolutely fine, and it used to work so well. But again, at that point, there was then so many colleges wanted to start and have events. So I started doing different events, which were great. But at that point, really, I hadn't thought it through. So it was just something, it was like a passion thing that I wanted to do. So I really didn't have anything to sort of upsell. I didn't have Beauty Directors Club.
where I could take anyone from that and put them into either a community together, or I didn't have like programs online where I could take them and help them develop their business further, which of course I have now. So it is something that I am starting to do again. I am going to start and take the concept out around the UK again. But I also started doing events for professional beauty called Beauty Roundup, where again what we did was bring salon owners together and then have a network. But on top of that, what I would do is highlight certain businesses who were doing phenomenally well to show what is actually possible. And again, that is so I'm going to combine that in with it as well, where it, because I think learning from your peers and learning from others is definitely the way forward. It's like it's great, yes, just to have some education, but to actually see how someone has turned that into cash flow in their business, or whether it's helped them build a team or bring in more clients, and being able to have that conversation as well to find out how you can do it is to me is gold dust.
Yeah, it's incredibly valuable, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just sort of jumping off from that, because that was a beautiful answer.
Thank you.
On a personal level, Susan, like, how do you manage to do so much? You seem so busy all the time.
I know everyone always says that. I think it's just really good management. I do. I mean, coming to do the podcast, obviously that is a day I just set aside. I have the guests all booked, and that is where, yes, I can still pick up on emails. I can still do other things as well, but predominantly that is my time to make these recordings. Coming down on the train, I've got 2 hours on the train down, 2 hours on the train back. That again is time when I can really, really batch what I'm doing. And now what I try to do is segment what I'm doing, because it's very easy to get sidetracked. And when you have a list of things which aren't your favourite things to do, you obviously gravitate to the ones that you want to do, and the others get put to the side. So I think it's just, with Beauty Directors Club, I have a mentor session every week, and I have a social session. And then obviously I'm conversing with people as well. But that, again, that is in time constraints. My clinic, the team, I try and still spend time with them, but to be honest, I've got that set up so that they just know exactly how to run the business. I can literally go away for a month at a time, and they can run it. And obviously now that, that's what I do. I teach other people how to set their businesses up so that they can be away from it. So although it looks like I do a lot, it is all very, very well managed. So,
but I think the thing to note upon there is that you've worked and gained the experience over the years to put that plan into effect. Your business can run in that way because it's been set up by you and has reached the point of autonomy, I guess, in that respect. You have your members of staff who you trust implicitly, and they run things exactly how you would require them to be ran.
Yeah. I mean, looking back, because when I was first stepping out of the business, this is way back when we won UK Salon of the Year for professional beauty. We won Large Salon of the Year, and I think it was the first time that a salon away from being in a city had won, and we just in a small town. So I'd grown the salon, so it was the largest independent salon in the Northeast, and I think possibly we still are. But the thing is that then I got to the point where I thought, we could just carry on growing, and I could just step out, and it's obviously not as easy as that. So I the lessons that I learned, we probably grew too fast at that point. So I ended up then, I decided to scale back. I stepped out thinking that like I could just do that. Obviously it does take preparation. And the best thing that ever happened to me, and I always think everything happens for a reason, but I went to a business event and I wasn't really going to go to this event, but I've always been fascinated about business. So I love going and learning from peers and top entrepreneurs. And I went to this event and there was a guy there who does business turnaround and does mergers and acquisitions. And he was talking about, buying failing businesses and turning them around so at that point I was like, wow, this is what I could do. I could have like chain of salons. I'll then go and take over salons that aren't doing very well and have this big chain of salons. And I signed up to work with them for a year, and that was some of the best education I ever had, because when a business isn't doing well, the things that you have to put in place quick, and they have to be effective, very, very effective. And a lot of that is making a team so that that business can run, and as well making sure that the cash flow is working really, really well. So the things that I learned, obviously then I implemented into my business and thought, wow, this is just the things that, even though we'd won UK Salon of the Year, there were still things that were missing that I then put in place, which then meant that I could safely step out. Then what I realised was that I ended up enjoying more helping salon owners to develop their business. Not necessarily that they were in trouble. Some had got themselves in a right pickle, and it was a case of like turning them around. But I got to enjoy helping them do that. And then I got to the point where I really, really enjoyed helping salon owners see what their true potential is, because I think sometimes you just get your head down, and I've been there, you work and work and work, and you just end up being the main person bringing the revenue into the business. But then that isn't, yes, it's productive that you're bringing the revenue in, but then it's not productive that you haven't got the energy to work on the business, to grow the business. So now a lot of what I do and what I love is like bringing out the true potential that a salon owner has, to take them to the next level, whether that is step out, whether that's to take a separate path in that business, or whatever it is, whether it's to get another salon, or there's like, I always think there are so many different avenues you can go down in a business. I always say it's your business, your rules. You can do whatever you want as long as you make sure that you've set it right and tested and made sure that it's a great path to go down. There's always, at least, I always say you've got to have at least a plan A, B, C and D, because you never know what's going to happen. But the more that you can set your business so that it is fail-proof, the better it is. Then it really, really does free up time, and energy. So
that's a really, really insightful answer. Thank you so much. That's it for my questions now. I don't have anything more to ask, so I'd like to just say thank you for joining us. It's been really nice to sit down and ask you some questions today.
Oh, thank you, Ryan. Yeah, it's like that. Great questions. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I hope you've enjoyed this. Always, after every episode, we have in the show notes all of my details. So if you'd like to get in touch, anything that we've spoken about, any more information that you want on that, then just get in touch. And I hope you've enjoyed this episode.